Well, gracious greetings, St. Stephen family and guests. Welcome to another edition of Living Water for Thirsty Thursday. We're talking about don't be scared. Yeah, our discussion is about fear this month, and today we're going to talk about the fear of the unknown. Well, probably your takeaways today will be that of learning a little bit more about what I don't know, what God knows, and then trusting what God will make known. The scripture that we want to read comes from the book of the beginnings in Genesis, the 12th chapter. I'm just looking at the first verse here. And it says, "Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee." And we're talking about this fear of the unknown. And obviously in this place, Abram is just being called by God. And when God calls him to move forward, God not only calls him internally, but God calls him externally to change things as well, to pick up all that he knows, his family and from his friends and from how he makes a living, and go to a place that you don't know about. And when you get there, I'll tell you. Yeah, that's pretty serious. So as we're moving through this and trying to learn how to deal with the fear of the unknown, I wonder, is it really a fear of the unknown? Think about it like this. Can one really fear the unknown when God already knows? Yeah, so what we are really contending with is the fear of what I don't know. But one way to rectify having fear of what I don't know is knowing the one that does know and that is in control of all knowing. And so that's why it's important that we don't dwell on what I don't know, but that we acknowledge the fact that God knows. And that's precisely what's going on here with Abram. And Abram here hears from the Lord, Jehovah Jireh, who is my provider, Jehovah Shalom, who gives me my peace. We've talked about this before, that God will provide. He said this unto Abram, "Get thee out of your country, out of the United States, out of Australia, out of Italy." That wasn't the point. The point is out of what you know, out of what you're comfortable with, out of which you have come to understand and know. That's a big deal, to leave our comfort zones for something that we don't know. Not only that, he says, and from your kindred, from your family, from your tribe, from your kin, even from your dialect a lot of times, and from your language. Man, how difficult would that be? And a lot of people that have come here and gone other places and had to pick up and learn a different language and to immerse themselves in a new culture. They know, anyone that's been an immigrant anywhere understands how difficult this is. But most of the time when you left wherever you were going to, you knew where you were going to. And Abram didn't have that. Not only was it the kindred, but he also said, leave your father's house. And that father's house talks about the provision and the protection that comes with your house, because typically back then they lived in courtyards, if you would. And so whatever your last name would be, like mine is Dockery, there would be a Dockery courtyard, if you would. And it could be 50 acres, it could be 100 acres. But you would have your son and your son's sons and maybe some of your daughters, or whatever the case, and they would be spread out on that courtyard of acreage. And as long as dad was doing okay, sons were going to be doing okay. And everyone kind of paid into the courtyard under the umbrella of the father. Well, God made it clear to Abram, I want you to leave your country. I want you to leave your kindred. And I also want you to leave your father's courtyard that you have grown accustomed to, safety and security. And then he says, unto a land that I will show you, that I will reveal to you at the appointed time. And so here's the thing. Not only is it important for us to know that it's not so important for us to know what's known, but it's important to know that God knows. But the last part is to know and to trust that God will show what he wants to be known, meaning God is in control of the outcomes. That helps us to deal with the fear of us not knowing, or the fear of the unknown, knowing that God is the one in control of the outcomes and not me, and not other things that I'm being influenced by. And so this is exactly what happens, because you read over in this 10th verse and you start getting a little skeptical, because it says, and there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. Can you imagine now that he's left everything that's familiar, and now he goes to Egypt? He goes to the place looking where God has told him to go. But when he gets there, he finds a famine. He has his family and everyone is connected with him. But now they're about to starve. Yeah, this is why we got to trust God for outcomes and just be obedient. And I'm grateful that Abram was obedient. I won't read through that whole story. I'm just going to bring it to a close here in the 13th chapter, just so that you can hear how God moved on Abram's behalf. Just in that 13th chapter, after Abram was actually in Egypt, it says, and Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram, do y'all see this? Was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. The chapter prior, God told him to move. The chapter prior, God told him, get away from your family, get away from your kindred, get away from everything that is familiar, your language, and go to this land that I will show you. And when he gets there, there's a famine. He goes on into Egypt, and he comes up out of Egypt basically a millionaire. Let God control the outcomes. We can't have the fear of the unknown when we serve a God that knows all. Well, prayerfully, this helps you a little bit more to deal with that fear of the unknown. Tune in next week as we continue to have this discussion, but we talk about the fear of failure. Continue to make God proud in all you say, think, and do.